Okay, so with us we have a question that requires us to write a program that will find the maximum, minimum and average value of an array of doubles. To achieve this, use a single function, right, for each part of a problem and a main function which controls and invokes this function. So this is what we're going to look at. So on our compiler, right, in our computer, what we need to do, right, we head over and we have to give it a data type called double. Then we're going to call our first function maximum, right? So then after doing this, so we're going to say double, right, our data type again, then create array which is called m, which will contain about 5 array number. Okay, so we're going to be using a for loop, right, in our program, which is going to count, like, run up our program like 5 times. So we say for, right, int what, let's say a is equals to 0, right? That's our starting point, since we know that arrays start from 0 up to a certain figure, right? Instead of 1, we write a is less than or equal to 4, because it's going to start by saying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are 5 digits, right? Just like that. Now we want to put a certain piece of code in our program that will enable us to check and to store the maximum number, right? So what we're going to be using is there's an if statement. So we are going to say if, right, the value of m, which we should first of all declare before starting this program. So we say double, since we are using doubles, so let's just say double data type and give it a name called max, right? Just like this. And then max, we are going to assign it to an imaginary 0. Then on this part, right, we are going to be saying, all right, m, right, our array m, we have what, or location, we're on a location 0 or index 0 of our array. We are going to assign that value of maximum, right, okay, of m, array m, to maximum, just like this. Then within our program, what we're going to do, right, we're going to check, right, we're going to check in like this in array. Okay, we're going to be starting with 0. Then we're going to say if, right, in array with location of a value can be 0 up to 4, right? Then we're going to say if a array of a value is greater than maximum, then what you need to do, our computer, is we have to store that value in what, in an array index a, right? So just like that. And then after this program is going to return us the value which you want, which is max, right? So what the program does is, right, is going to be asking the numbers for a user to enter, right? So a user enters the first number 5, the next time is going to enter number 2, the next time is going to enter number 8 or 11 or 30, right? Then the program will go within the if statement, where it's going to say, okay, the value of array index 0, right, which is 3, let's, for example, is going to be checked if it is greater than the variable what, max, right, which is assigned to 0. If it finds out that it is greater than, then it's going to check that value of index a of array index is 0 or ma, for instance in this program, then it's going to store it into the maximum as a new number. Then later on, after running this looping function, it is going to return the value of the maximum value which we need. Yeah, so this is how we check using a function, yeah, in C++. Okay, so now that we want to create another function called a minimum, right, the function that will help us to find the minimum number along the other number of arrays, right? Just like that. So what you have to do, we just either copy the whole thing so that the video will be short, and we go this space and we paste it, but then we're going to change all these where it says maximum, right, into minimum. So you have to write min, that's the minimum, right? That's the variable which we'll be using. So where we say double, right, data type, we put double data type minimum, right? Min, it is equals to what? 0, right? So we are initializing 0 to our minimum variable, right? Then on this part, right, we have to change the same thing. We have to say min, right, just like this. So okay, let's check with the other parts. Yeah, so we are not going to be using m, right? Let's say we use let's say n, just like this. We change it into n. Then within our program, right, yes, this for loop is okay, but then here we're going to change it. We're going to create what we call an array, right, given a variable name called n, right? So it should be less than, right? Yeah, that array should be less than this minimum variable, right? Then after that, what's going to happen within the for loop, in the if statement, right, is going to say, okay, if a value of the array is less than let's say minimum, right, we should assign minimum, we should assign that array as a new figure to minimum, just like that. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste this, I'm going to write n, just like that. Then I'm going to change this one into retain the value of minimum, right? Now on the average part, right, writing a function for an average, what we have to do, right? So we're going to create a data type called double, then we're going to give it a name average, right? Then within our bracket, we are going to collect those various number of arrays, right? After that, we're going to divide them by the figure, let's say 5. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so dealing with this average part, right, so what we need to do is to say double, right, a array code, let's say v, right, or m, the actual, let me just check, or we just say m, then we put a certain figure, like it is going to contain five elements, right, just like this. Then we are going to open our curly brackets. Now since we are dealing with double, we are going to say, okay, well, let's create a variable name called sum, right, of data type a double. Then sum is equals to 0. Then next we want to create another variable, right, which we are going to be using. So this variable we're going to this variable we're going to call it average, just like this, and we close. Now we're going to create a for loop, because we're going to be looping this program until it finds the answer. So that's why we are using a for loop. So int m, let's say int v is equals to 0, our starting point. Then v is less than or equal to 4, since 4 will be the last point which you need to reach. Then we're going to increment v plus 1 in each and every run, just like this. Now within this part, right, okay, so we declared and initialized, we declared what we call a sum, right? So within our for loop, what we need to do, right, we say sum, right? So we want sum to store every value and a digit that there is in an array, right? How do we do this? We say sum plus is equals to what? Every element or element which is within the array m, right, is going to be stored in here. But now within those braces, right, what we need to do, we're going to put v, because it's going to start from element or index 0 up to index 4, right? And every, let's say on the first run, let's say index 0 will be like equals to 9, a digit 9. Then it's going to store 9 in what? In sum. Then on the second run, right, let's say index will be on index 1. Then it is maybe index 1, you have a value of 12. Then it's going to take that 12 and store it and add it to sum, the already available number, which is 9. So it will be like this. Okay, let me just put it as a comment. It will be like sum is equals to an existing sum plus a value of what, that array, let's say 0, just like this. So that's how it will be working. So let me just remove it and complete this program. Now that it have calculated the sum, right? But this is not what we want. What we want is, we want the program to calculate the average of those arrays, right, elements. So what we need to do outside the for loop, that's where we have to calculate. So it's like this: the average which we did declare at the start of our program, we're going to call it now. So we say average, so average. What you need to do, right, you need to say, okay, the total sum of numbers which you have divided by 5, right? You give it a number, or you give it that, keep that that figure, right? But then we're going to call you out, right, at the end of our program by saying return what? Return to us the value of average. Just like that. That's how we find the average, yeah, while it's creating a function of average. So the next part, we're going to jump into the main, right, the int main, right? That's what we're going to do. So this is where we're going to be printing out those cout, because we create functions outside what? Outside the int main, right? And so that the program will be clean and reusable, right? Then within the int main, that's where we're going to deal with those cout stuff, right? Just like that. Okay, so now let's look at it. Okay, so within the main program, right, we create an array of data type double. So let's call it a R, right, or just like this. Then we're going to assign, to give it the number of elements, which is going to store a total of 5 elements, right, just like this. Then we're going to choose to assign them, because if we choose someone to feed in the information, it will be long, but this is the other part of the video which you might be interested in. So we put those curly brackets, right? Then let's say we put 5, then we put 6, then we put 9, we put 30, 23, we put let's say 16, just like this. So let me check. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 elements which are going to be stored in our array, right? Okay, now what we need to do, right, we have to create some cout now. So we say cout, okay, this is the maximum number in the okay, let's say this is the maximum number, right, just like this. Then for us to be able to get that function, to call that function in our program, what we need to do is just we're going to say, okay, we go to our function and check what's the function of finding the maximum value. So it's max, so we put max like this. But then in the brackets, we need to put our array which we did created, right, so that all those values of array will be stored within max, will be passed to max, and it will do the calculation. So first of all, let's just run and see how it goes like. So there is an error here, so let's just check it. So if for int, okay, we left incrementing. So let me just say a plus, just like this. So let's just run again. There is another error which I didn't look at. Say a plus, right? It's an increment. Let's now compile and run and see if there's any error or if there's any result. So as you can see, it says the maximum number is 5, of which this is not 5, right? So we're going to check our program where the error is in. Okay, so I've discovered the error, right? So I did put this one out within the for loop, of which it is bad. We have to put it outside the looping, so that, because on the first run it's just going to store the value from the first run, of which it is not good. So it needs to give us the final result. So let's just take the same at the minimum. If we did put this one in for loop, this is bad, we have to correct it. This is bad programming. Let's put it after for loop, just like this. Now let's just check on this one. Yes, it is outside for loop, and let's just run. Personally, we know our maximum number is 23, so let's just compile and run and see if that's what we're going to get. As you can see, the result is there on the screen. The maximum number is 23. Now we want to check the other part of our program, the minimum, right? So we just copy the whole thing just like this. Then on the next line, right, we have to just paste, but we have to include what's called next line, right? So this one, this is the minimum number, right? So now we remove this one, then we're going to call to the function which we created called minimum. So it's called min, just like this. Now we put min. So min is going to deal with the array which we did create in the main program, just like this. And now, so let's look at the next line, so which is going to find the average. So we're going to change, okay, the average is, okay, the average number, the average number, just like this. But then we're going to call our average by writing avg, let's see, avrg, just like this. Then we run our program smoothly and see how it goes. The program is going to run. Yes, our minimum number is 5, then our maximum number is 11. Okay, then the average number is 11.8. So guys, this is how you program a basic calculator, not that basic, but a calculator that calculates the maximum, minimum, and average of what, of the given values or array numbers. So guys, see you in the next video. Cheers, bye for now.